Gentlemen, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, in the hall and online. I trust that the online connection is working properly and that all the participants offline and online can hear us well. Thank you very much for joining us for this special side event within the Committee on Environmental Policy at UNECE here in Geneva. My name is Alessandra Fidanza. I work for the Italian Ministry of Environment and Energy Security, and in this capacity, I coordinated the work for the preparation of a very interesting report that we are presenting today, which you can see here. And it's a report that was officially launched at Belém in another very successful side event, and it is about promoting nature-based solutions and sustainable infrastructure in the EC region, environmental and health co-benefits. We are here today to present the contents of this report, but also to highlight some of the activities that our ministry, together with some international organization, is carrying out in the field of nature-based solution. Let me leave the floor to a long-lasting friend and colleague, Mr. Marco Kainer, the Director of the Environment Division. We appreciate a lot the partnership that Italy has with the Environment Division, and particularly with Marco and his staff. Marco, the floor is yours.
Alessandra, good afternoon, dear participants. It's my pleasure to also welcome you warmly on behalf of the UNECE to this important side event. I welcome both the participants here in the room and also those joining online. I'd like to add my welcome to Ambassador Vincenzo Grassi, the permanent representative of Italy to the United Nations office at Geneva, and he's also the chair of the UNECE Commission. Also, I would like to warmly welcome Ms. Ruth Zugmando-Couto, the Deputy Director of Climate Change Division, UNTP, whom you enjoyed already this morning. And also I'd like to welcome Director General Alessandro Ghieri and Luna Montozzi from the Italian Ministry of Environment and Energy Security, who are joining us virtually. The report that we will talk about this afternoon is a timely and highly relevant contribution. It is a central message, its central message is quite clear. Nature-based solutions for sustainable infrastructure are a powerful lever to counter the converging environmental, health, and climate change challenges in the UNECE region. And this report is also a response to the Nicosia Declaration at the 9th Environment for Europe Ministerial Conference. You remember that at that conference, ministers highlighted that sustainable and resilient infrastructures should be at the core of green economy policies. Their declaration explicitly highlights the need to explore the role of nature-based solutions for infrastructure investments. And also the report provides practical guidance to turn these commitments into action. The report we will talk about this afternoon also builds on the findings of the UNECE environmental performance reviews. Later, we will hear about how the EPR program is supporting nature-based solution uptake and integration in our region. In this side event, we will not only explore about the report itself, but also about two additional initiatives. For the 4th EPR of Uzbekistan, an innovative approach has been adopted. The EPR features a dedicated chapter on nature-based solutions. We will hear about this approach later in the session. Additionally, Ms. Ruth Zugmando Couto will present a new initiative that is aimed at strengthening nature-based solutions implementation, the Nature-Based Solution Innovation Accelerator. On behalf of UNECE, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to Italy for effective cooperation and partnership in producing this report. Now, after each presentation, there will be time for questions and comments from the audience. I look forward to engaging discussions, and with that, I'll pass the floor back to Alessandra for the introduction of our first speaker.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Marco, for introducing the topics that we will cover today. Without further ado, I'm very pleased to leave the floor to His Excellency Ambassador Grassi, who is the permanent representative of Italy to the United Nations in Geneva. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Excellencies, distinguished delegate, colleagues, Director General. It is a pleasure to welcome you to this side event on promoting a nature-based solution and sustainable infrastructure in the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe region, environmental and health co-benefits. I would warmly thank the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe Secretariat and the Italian Minister of Environment and Energy Security, in particular Director General Alessandro Guerri and Dottoressa Alessandra Fidanza, for bringing together such a timely and forward-looking discussions. Today's session offers an important opportunity to reflect on the transformative potential of nature-based solutions to address some of the most pressing environmental challenges facing our region. Integrating nature into the way we plan, design, and manage infrastructure is no longer an aspirational concept. It is an essential component of building resilience, restoring ecosystems, reducing emissions, and improving the health and well-being of our communities. The launch of the new United Nations Economic Commission for Europe report represents a significant step forward. By providing practical insight, evidence, and policy recommendation, the report will help member states translate commitments into concrete actions. It builds on the solid foundation of environmental performance review and other United Nations Economic Commission for Europe instruments, offering a roadmap to scale up nature-based solutions across sectors and regions. Italy is pleased to have supported its preparation and welcomes its contribution to advancing shared priorities for sustainable development. This discussion also comes at a moment when the need for innovative approach and renewed partnership has never been more evident. Mobilizing finance, strengthening capabilities, and fostering cooperation between governments, international organizations, the private sector, and local communities will be crucial to accelerate implementation. Nature-based solutions are most effective when they deliver multiple benefits at once and when they are embedded in national strategies, urban planning, and cross-border initiatives. I trust that today's exchange of experiences and ongoing initiatives will inspire renewed ambition across the UNECE region. Let us continue working together to ensure that sustainable infrastructure becomes a driver of climate resilience, economic opportunity, and healthier environments for all. I wish you a productive and engaging discussion.
Much, His Excellency, and also thank you not only for this introduction, but also for having signed a forward in the report that we are presenting today. Now it is my pleasure to introduce our Director General, Alessandro Guerri, Director General for European and International Affairs and Sustainable Finance at the Ministry of Environment and Energy Security, whose forward-looking approach has been the inspiration both of this report, which is very much focused on sustainable infrastructure, as well as for the nature-based solutions innovation accelerator initiative with UNEP and the OECD. Mr. Guerri, the floor is yours.
So thank you, Alessandra, for your kind introduction. So His Excellency Ambassador Grassi, Permanent Representative of Italy at the International Organization in Geneva, and distinguished participants, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it's a really great pleasure welcome you and be invited in this side event on nature-based solution and sustainable infrastructure. That is two concepts that in our vision should stay together in the future, and in particular, if possible, in the United Nations ECI region. So we are happy to be being integrated in the report of the NBS for the existing and future infrastructure system within the region. Infrastructure is a backbone of our economies and societies. They delivers energy, transport, water and sanitation, and service that keep our cities and region functioning. Yet much of this infrastructure was designed for a climate that no longer exists. So increasing floods, heat waves, drought, and other extreme events are putting assets and services under growing stress and exposing the limits of a purely grey approach. For decades, we have relied predominantly on conventional engineered structures. They have provided essential service, but often with high environmental costs and growing vulnerability to climate risk. Today, we know that if we want our infrastructure to stay reliable and affordable for a long time, we must rethink how we plan, design, build, and upgrade it. Nature-based solution is an opportunity. They offer a concrete way to do so. By protecting, restoring, and managing ecosystem, nature-based solution can shield transport corridors from landslides and floods, cool urban districts and critical facilities during heat waves, stabilize river banks and coastal zones, enhance water storage and filtration, and reduce pressures on drainage and wastewater systems. In particular, we see ports as a strategic nodes in global value chain, and our particular focus we have a particular focus on them in the reports, which shows how nature-based solution can support smart port development, improve operation, and reduce environmental pressure in and around port areas. And then in ECE region, many ports are embedded in our cities, so that they are also urban ports. So it's even more important to adopt an approach that can rely on also on nature-based solution. When combined with grey infrastructure, NBS can extend asset lifetimes, reduce operating costs, and improve performance under changing climate conditions. The report presented today makes this very clear. It shows with case studies and evidence from across the region how forests, wetlands, floodplains, urban green and blue networks, and other NBS can be integrated throughout the entire infrastructure lifecycle. Italy is proud to have supported this work with UNECE and to promote NBS as a pillar of sustainable, resilient infrastructure. This commitment runs through our engagement in the environmental performance reviews, including the recent review of Uzbekistan, where NBS has been framed as a part of future infrastructure policies, and through new initiatives such as the one that was mentioned, co-organized with UNEP, on nature-based solution innovation accelerator that is promoted by Italy, as mentioned, which focus precisely on infrastructure system in vulnerable regions. As you might understand, Italy stands ready to continue working with UNECE, UNEP, WHO, and OECD, and the partner countries in the region, and all of you, to turn the evidence and recommendation of this report into concrete projects on the ground and into infrastructure systems that are truly fit for a changing climate. Many of you have mentioned the forward-looking of this approach. I really hope that the proof of this in this discussion today and actually in the future. Thank you so much for your attention and your participation.
Thank you so much for your contribution, Director General. Now, we talked a lot about the report so far, but now what is it? Let's go to the presentation of the report itself. To this end, first, Nick Bonvoisin will give us an overview of the report. He will highlight key messages and findings. Nick, as you know, is Chief of the Operational Activities and Review section in the Environment Division of UNECE, and he also acted as the co-coordinator for the report. Following Nick, we will hear then from Luna Montozzi, who is joining us online. Luna works as climate finance specialist at the Italian Ministry of Environment and Energy Security. And she's also the author of the finance chapter of the report, and she will share with us valuable insights on financing NBS for sustainable infrastructure. Then, following the two presentations, we will open the floor for questions and comments from the audience. But now, Nick, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Marco. So yes, indeed, I will be talking about the report and some other aspects. Next slide. Thank you. So, well, firstly, before I actually dive into the report, I would really like to emphasize that the great cooperation which we have enjoyed. This report has been drafted by two consultants financed by Italy, also an Italian expert, as well as Luna, who was mentioned just now, but also we had some really good feedback and helpful feedback from Alessandra and Luna, which really improved the document. And though I'm going to talk about the report, I think it's better to look at it. I hope that you will find it attractive and easy to use. It's light. It's 200 pages, but it's still light. And I think you will find it an interesting product. So I will be talking about the report, but also some looking at some solutions and infrastructure services, and then looking towards implementation in terms of use of the environmental performance reviews, some particular challenges around planning, and a mention of finance as well. Next slide. Thank you. So in terms of messages, these are really the main messages from the report. The first is that we are all very much aware of the pressures which our region is facing from climate change, environmental degradation, but also from aging infrastructure and public health burdens. And you'll see that the report places a particular emphasis on public health issues. The solution, which is being discussed here, is of course nature-based solutions, which are transformative, cost-effective for delivering infrastructure services, while at the same time, nature-based solutions can also enhance human well-being, increase climate resilience, and support biodiversity. Much evidence and many cases are presented here in the report, but we can see that NBS is not being rolled out sufficiently across the region. So there are nice examples, there are many examples, but it is not a systematic approach, and that is really what is missing at the moment. We need it to be better integrated also into national policies on climate plans and infrastructure investments. So this is really a call to action to scale up nature-based solutions through working with all stakeholders and to engage through targeted financing policies and capacity building across infrastructure sectors. Next slide. So the report has been a desk study, but also supported by expert interviews. And we also held a workshop back in April, also financed by Italy, and with a number of very good speakers who also provided a lot of inspiration and basic information to inform the development of the report. The report is developed within the framework of the UNECE Environmental Performance Review Program, and you will see that there are links between the two, but it goes beyond that. I mean, we will see a bit later, but we use nature-based solutions now in EPRs more and more, but the application of nature-based solutions obviously goes way beyond the scope of environmental performance reviews. The document, you'll see that there are a lot of case studies in there. There are a lot of practical tips, practical considerations throughout the document, and we've really tried to make it as practical as possible. Next slide. So just to provide also a little bit more context, UNEA in 2021, 2022, the post-COVID UNEA, there was agreement there on a definition of nature-based solutions. So this really converted the concept of nature-based solutions into a common international agenda for action on nature-based solutions. And it underlined the need for more commitments to implementation on nature-based solutions. Next slide. You will see that in the report, there is a particular focus on these 4 sectors, because these are the sectors to which nature-based solutions are particularly applicable. And again, I would emphasize that the report provides numerous practical tips and case studies for these sectors. Next. The report goes into much detail on the environmental benefits of nature-based solutions, especially in terms of climate mitigation and adaptation, but also broader benefits for society, economies, infrastructure and health systems and workforces as well, besides biodiversity conservation. But in particular, there is a particular emphasis on human health and well-being. And you will see that it explains how NBS can improve physical and mental health by reducing exposure to pollution, heat and noise, and by lowering stress and depression risks. It also improves community well-being by encouraging physical activity, social cohesion, and resilience. And NBS can achieve health equity or promote health equity in underserved populations through inclusive and equity-oriented planning. But this also means that nature-based solutions must be integrated into urban planning in particular, but also other aspects of infrastructure that relate to health. Next slide. So I think that most of you are very familiar with the environmental performance reviews and how they assist member states in improving environmental performance. We've conducted more than 60 EPRs over the past 30 years, and they have a proven track record in enhancing multi-sectoral cooperation. But they also provide this platform for exchanging good practices on nature-based solutions and sustainable infrastructure. And this has long been a feature of environmental performance reviews, but has only really become explicit through the experience with Uzbekistan. Again, thanks to Italy. Thank you. So we really see, back slide, please. Well, don't worry. So And we can see in the fourth EPR of Uzbekistan that the environmental performance reviews really have a potential through their recommendations to strengthen the implementation of nature-based solutions and accelerate climate resilience, biodiversity restoration, and public health co-benefits through these recommendations on policy actions. Next slide. So the report also tackles some of the challenges for planning and implementing nature-based solutions and identifies some success factors. So in terms of planning and design, the importance of integration as early as possible, the importance of inclusive stakeholder engagement, as ever, and the importance of evidence-based site selection and choice of nature-based solution. Because nature-based solutions are very much a science-based approach to reducing the impacts of infrastructure and promoting nature-positive solutions. And then in terms of implementation and management, the importance really of comprehensive cost and benefit appraisal and continuous monitoring, maintenance, and adaptive management when they are implemented. Next slide. Oh, sorry, can you go back? Did I miss one? Ah, okay. Right, okay. I didn't know that one slide had been removed, but it's actually about the topic which the next speaker was going to go into in a lot more detail. But I would like to emphasize that there's a very nice and strong chapter on the fundamental question of financing of nature-based solutions, because this is the key to unlocking nature-based solutions and their use in sustainable infrastructure. So, thank you.
Who will contribute some aspects on finance. Luna, the floor is yours.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good afternoon, and thanks Nicola and Director Kainer for the introduction, and thanks Alessandra and Director General Guerri for giving me the opportunity to contribute to this important piece of work. As mentioned, I co-authored the Chapter 9, which aims to explore global and regional trends and present existing and emerging climate finance mechanisms that can be mobilized to promote nature-based solutions and sustainable infrastructure in the EC region. The chapter also aims to identify financial and institutional barriers and provide the concrete examples and case studies to inform national policymakers, development partners, and private investors. In the interest of time, I'll focus on a few main highlights of the chapter. Next slide, please. So starting from some numbers, global climate finance reached approximately 1.46 trillion in 2022, but only 5% of these flows went to adaptation and NBS. Current spending on NBS is estimated at 200 billion annually, while the need is projected to triple to 540 billion by 2030 if we want to meet the global climate and biodiversity targets. This gap is not just a statistic, but it's a missed opportunity for resilience and sustainability. In the EC region, the picture is mixed. In fact, international financial institutions such as the EIB, EBRD, the Green Climate Fund are quite active, and innovative instruments like green bonds, blended finance, and biodiversity credits are emerging. So just to give you a few examples, the EBRD invested over 2 billion in Central Asia in 2024, with a strong focus on sustainable infrastructure. And the newly established Italian Climate Fund approved a 100 million policy-based loan to the Ministry of Finance of Uzbekistan precisely to advance the country's green economy transition by strengthening climate-related public finance management. These are encouraging steps, of course, but however, they remain quite an exception rather than the rule. In fact, there are still several barriers that make the process so slow. Next slide, please. Thank you so much. So first, outdated design standards still dominate infrastructure planning, favoring grey solutions and ignoring often the multifunctionality of NBS. Second, economic appraisals rarely capture co-benefits such as improved health, biodiversity and climate resilience, making NBS less competitive. Third, small-scale projects often struggle to access finance and technical capacity to design and monitor NBS often remain limited across many countries in the EC region. Moreover, financing NBS through international financial institutions comes with a list of eligible costs and strict technical requirements. So, for example, robust cost-benefit analysis or environmental and social safeguard assessments and long-term monitoring plans. These are, of course, essential for transparency and accountability, but can be challenges for countries with limited capacities. Yet, despite these setbacks, there are also opportunities that come along network-based solutions. Network-based solutions, in fact, can reduce capital and operational costs, extend the lifespan of infrastructure, and protect assets from climate risks. They can also create jobs and improve public health and support biodiversity, and all of this within a single investment. So what to do to unlock this potential? To summarize 5 things. First, mainstream NBS into national frameworks. So, for example, nationally determined contributions or national adaptation plans. And of course, environmental performance reviews. So to make NBS a part of the core planning from the outset. Second, mobilize and diversify finance by scaling up instruments already existing, such as green bonds, blended finance, and public-private partnerships, so to create incentives for private sector engagement. Third, reform design standards and appraisal methods, so to recognize the multifunctionality of NBS and integrate their co-benefits into cost-benefits analysis. Fourth, build capacities and evidence by investing in training and monitoring systems, so to strengthen confidence and to attract more investments. And finally, foster governance and cooperation by promoting regional collaboration and platform for sharing lessons learned. Next slide, please. So to conclude, MBS are not an optional add-on. They are essential for a resilient, inclusive and sustainable infrastructure. In fact, by aligning climate finance and network-based solutions and sustainable infrastructure, the EC region can turn challenges into opportunities for climate resilience, but also biodiversity protection and human well-being. Thank you so much. I hope I stayed within the time allocated.
You did. You did. Thank you so much for your insightful presentation, and thank you to both speakers for having informed us about the report. Now, as said before, we would like to open the floor for questions and comments from the audience. Please use this opportunity to share your thoughts or ask for clarification on any of the points that were discussed so far. For those who are joining us online, please feel free to submit your questions in the chat. And David, I think we make it sure to include all of you in the discussion, so we can go for 2 or 3 questions. So, and please keep the interventions brief and focused. Who wants to go first?
We do have a contribution online. I don't know, Charles, if you want to speak up directly as well, or if I shall just read out your contribution. Okay, then and then I would just like read it out. Charles is a colleague from IUCN who commended the report especially for its focus on human health, and he says that they are also looking into diving more deeply into the topic of MBS and human health and well-being, and that they look forward to cooperating more closely on this topic with UNECE and other partners. So thank you, Charles, for this contribution.
Else? Senat, yes, Bosnia-Herzegovina.
Thank you, Marco. Thank you to the presenters for excellent presentations and the exchange experience they had in NBS activities. Actually, I would like to know, it is easy to work, to use NBS solutions in remote areas, in somewhere where is in nature. But I'm interested in possible inclusion of NBS in urban areas. What are the challenges and what are the main so-called experience in that, and which lessons learned you can transfer to us? Thank you very much.
Senat, indeed a very pertinent question. Who would like to go for it, Nick or Luna? I see Nick is taking the microphone.
Okay, I'm very happy if Luna wants to reply because she probably knows much better than me. But I mean, there are many examples given in the report in terms of things like green roofs and green walls and integrating of solar panels into urban areas and urban forests and many examples in there. So I think it's best to look in the reports, but I'm hoping that Luna, meanwhile, has come up with some more practical ideas.
Thank you so much, Nick. Yeah, maybe just I'll add a couple of examples that we report in the report actually. One is from Moldova, but also from a recent mission that we had in Uzbekistan. There are often urban and human settlements that are close to rivers or water flows. And this, of course, with the increase of climate change risks are, of course, at risk. So in this case, nature-based solutions can be a very powerful mean to protect the urban settlements from flooding, for example, and at the same time deliver such multi-benefits that we mentioned just before in our presentation and that you can read thoroughly in the report. Probably Alessandra is the best place to answer this question, but yeah, a lot of information can be found in the report. Thank you.
In the interest of time, thank you so much for the questions and the answers. And now we need to move on. Next up, we will hear about how the ECE EPR program is integrating NBS. And I said in the first EPR of Uzbekistan, an innovative approach was taken. One out of the 4 chapters on the report provides analysis and recommendations on nature-based solutions. Angela Sokirka, my colleague, will present this chapter. Angela is Environmental Affairs Officer working for the EPR program, and she's also the substantive coordinator for the 4th EPR of Uzbekistan. As before, we will then open very briefly the floor for questions and comments after the presentation. Firstly, a warm thank you, Angela, for this engaging presentation. So please, I would ask you to take the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Marco, for giving me the floor. I am waiting for the presentation to actually appear on the screen, but before I wanted to say that some parts of my presentation were already covered by Alessandra's intervention in her capacity as a rapporteur for the fourth EPR of Uzbekistan, so I will pass over several slides faster. Good. Now we have it. I can already move to the second slide. So I will start with the background before having such a pilot chapter on nature-based solutions. When we received such a request from the government of Uzbekistan, we were a bit challenged at the beginning because we never have had such a chapter in EPRs. And we have looked to the organizations that have the most experience in nature-based solutions. So we reached out to IUCN and to UNEP colleagues, and we held extensive brainstorming sessions at the beginning to try to identify the substantive scope for such a chapter. And the very first, let's say, structure of a chapter that resulted from these extensive consultations was deserving probably 100-page report. So we then had to proceed with identification of a narrower scope for a 20-page EPR chapter as per usual practice. So then we have narrowed down the scope to the four main parts, which are implementation of nature-based solutions, integrated approaches, research and innovation in nature-based solutions, and then legal policy and institutional framework. The chapter was prepared by an international expert with a background in legal matters, and we also had inputs, very valuable inputs from Italy, IUCN, and UNEP colleagues. And also the chapter is broader in scope than looking at resilient infrastructure. It also looks into applying NBS in agriculture, land degradation, and forestry. So I will not stop in great detail. This is the first section of the chapter on NBS. And we have identified many nature-based solutions implemented in Uzbekistan. Even maybe they were not called like this in these various areas. The country widely uses nature-based solutions to preserve biodiversity, to combat desertification and water scarcity, to enhance climate resilience, and to improve the life in urban environments. The country is also engaged in large-scale afforestation efforts aiming at planting 1 billion trees, as well as pasture restoration, agroforestry, landscape rehabilitation, riparian forest conservation, and wetland restoration. And all these initiatives, the review found out that they bring multiple benefits to the environment and human health and well-being. The second part of the chapter on NBS focuses on integrated approaches, and it identified that almost all nature-based solutions initiatives considered in the chapter were embedded into more complex projects, and that even as a standalone intervention, the majority of them had multiple effects. Just one example, afforestation activities stabilize soils, reduce toxic dust storms, improve microclimate, and provide habitats for wildlife. And yeah, so I'll move next. Then the next part looked into research and innovation on nature-based solution in the country and has also identified several big programs to address issues in the RLC and to also advance a green infrastructure in the country. Then the legal and policy framework identify, as Alessandra already mentioned today, that there are no legal provisions on NBS, but there are a multitude of policies that do not explicitly mention NBS, but they relate to NBS, and there is only one policy document, the National Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan, that explicitly mentions NBS. The institutional framework also identified that there is need that the country already engages stakeholders in those nature-based solutions initiatives that are ongoing, and that for the future it needs to pay specific focus on multi-stakeholder engagement in the initiatives on the NBS. So the assessment part then found out that although the country is doing quite a substantial number of nature-based solutions activities, there is low awareness and let's say I participated in many interviews across different ministries in the government, and just this term like nature-based solution is not familiar. When you and colleagues in Uzbekistan, they ask for examples, and when you start discussing and providing examples, then they identify many nature-based solutions. But without this, there is clear lack of a definition in the country, so that everyone is on the same understanding of what is a nature-based solution. The information is also fragmented because typically NBS are included in different projects as components, so it's difficult. There is no one unique platform or database to where we can see all the activities done in the country. And of course, given the context, the geographical context of the country, also the current focus on nature-based solutions are mainly afforestation. Of course, there are also harsh challenges, also given to the geographic conditions of the country, and not easy to implement. Let's say, like the nature-based solutions need to be adapted to the country and the region context. And then, as I mentioned, there is need to maybe embed in the legislation some provisions for the nature-based solutions, and there is a big untapped potential of developing future nature-based solutions to benefit agriculture, urban development, health, and infrastructure adaptation. And then I will not stop in detail in the EPI recommendations because you have heard them from Alessandra. We have not many recommendations in this chapter. We have just 4 sets of recommendations. And of course, we are encouraging the country to develop a platform, to share the information, to adopt a master plan, to advance implementation of afforestation, to mainstream nature-based solution across all relevant sectors, and to, of course, advance nature-based solution for supporting resilient infrastructure. And here, of course, it would be very important, the work I've recently learned that the Water Convention colleagues, they plan to elaborate a compendium of good practices and case studies of nature-based solutions specifically for the Central Asian region. And they plan to do this compendium for the next year Regional Ecological Summit in Astana at the end of April. So I think such a compendium plus the report that was prepared here, which is much broader, doesn't cover only Central Asia, but this very report is very valuable for the country then to look and to try to use it as a source to develop its own nature-based solutions. And I thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, dear Angela. And with this, in the interest of time, I immediately hand over to Alessandra to introduce the next speaker. Martin, we can do it later on if you have a question. Yeah.
Thank you so much, and let's move forward for the sake of time. It's my pleasure to introduce a long-lasting colleague. We long worked together on the Trident project that was presented this morning, and now also with the Nature-Based Solutions Innovation Accelerator. My pleasure to introduce Ruth Zokman-Dokoto, Deputy Director, Climate Change Division of UNEP, who will introduce the NBS IA. Thank you.
you. I think the colleagues who presented before me really make my presentation much easier because the wealth of work and in-depth analysis of nature-based solutions really lends, I think, to this discussion. And it's a pleasure to join you today again. This is a joint initiative of the Italian Ministry of Environment and Energy Security, UNEP, and OECD. What I will present today is an initiative that, as I mentioned earlier on, was launched officially in Belém, together with Director Alessandro Gary, that is here, and also Minister Pichetto Fratin. So I just wanted to highlight that. Next slide, please. I think Director Alessandro Gary said it very well, that infrastructure is the backbone of our economies. Critical infrastructure really delivers essential services that underpin the functions of our societies. And this has been said much better by Nick and by the other colleagues. Health, energy, transport, communications, livelihoods. And still around the world, many of our infrastructure systems, especially those in climate vulnerable regions, are under threat. They have not been built, as already have been said, to resist to a world that will warm faster than initially foreseen. Climate-related disasters such as extreme weather events, rising temperatures, water scarcity, sea level rise are disrupting operations and increasing risks for communities, economies, infrastructures, and ecosystems. It is estimated, and Luna, I don't know if this gels with your presentation, that global economic losses from climate-related infrastructure damage are between 732 billion to 845 billion annually. It's a massive loss. We cannot afford to continue building and managing infrastructure as we did in the past. We must design and/or retrofit for increased resilience, plan for uncertainty, and invest in solutions that strengthen the systems that support our societies. Next slide, please. Nature-based solutions, I think go back one, sorry. There. Nature-based solution, no, sorry, go to other, because I am not going to, yeah. Nature-based solutions offer exactly that opportunity. They are, in many of our cases, the most efficient, equitable, and scalable resilience investment. By harnessing the power of nature, built or great infrastructure that we call can be protected and strengthened in providing essential, long-lasting services. Next one, please. There is a study that tells us that if we invest in resilience in infrastructure, every $4 can be saved if you put $1 of investment. That's not only for nature-based solutions, that's in general. We're playing, that's good. Nature-based solutions in infrastructure can contribute really for a synergistic approach and really help to deal with the issues of climate change. Next slide, please. So here you have examples, and I think that they're important on ports, urban buildings, energy, road transport, and water systems. I will pick one now. So for instance, the colleague from Bosnia and Herzegovina, you asked about how to deal with nature-based solutions in cities. We have noted, because we launched the Global Cooling Watch report in COP30, that actually the urban heat island effect in cities increases the temperature by 5 to 10 degrees, which is massive if you're already, I mean, most data in your country is already very difficult in summer, right? So the heat island effect that we're going to face, we're going to have much more days of excessive heat waves with climate change. We have noted that if we increase green cover and blue cover in cities, there is a potential to reduce peak temperature by 10 to 25%, which is, if we have 40 degrees, we can maybe go down to less than maybe 30 degrees. So it's a massive improvement if we can do that. The difficulty is exactly what you were talking about, which is how do we do that in a built environment, that you have to acquire land to actually put green corridors and green spaces. And I think there are a lot of opportunities when we're revisiting urban decay city centers to do that, because it's an opportunity to use that land in a different way. Maybe next slide, please. Do I have time to go a little bit more over time? More or less, not too much. Okay. So maybe I can, let's go to slide 8 then. So what we are doing with this initiative, the Nature-Based Solution Innovation Accelerator, we are actually taking the lessons learned from the report and from what Luna was saying, that we need more evidence to provide to policymakers and to the finance sector that actually this works. And that's what I think the Italian government has really understood and is putting this into a call for proposals for consortium of private sectors that would like to propose designs for nature-based solutions to be tested and to be piloted, so we have more evidence to upscale this approach. This is going to be a project that it's going to be running for 5 years. We're really in the beginning phase. We're going to launch the expression of interest the beginning of next year, and this will provide evidence for de-risking investment, shape enabling policies, prove the commercial and operational viability of working with nature. Next slide, please. This is the geographical scope of our new innovation accelerator on nature-based solutions. We're going to focus in Africa, where we're going to focus on some specific infrastructure, ports, logistic infrastructure, and in Central Asia, we're going to focus on energy, water, transport, and urban infrastructure. Next slide, please. What we would like to do is to have 2 phases, design phase and implementing phase. It's very important to have important designs. I'll give you a very nice example. I was working on a cities project actually in Brazil on nature-based solutions in Recife, and we didn't do a very robust design for filtering gardens, and we used some species that were not adaptable actually because it was a new type of technology to the weather and to the conditions of the river, which was very polluted in Recife, and it didn't work, so we had to go back and redesign, and now it's working actually very well. So it really proves the importance of this innovation accelerator to actually have evidence-based and weather and geographical examples that can work on the ground for the specific countries and regions we're talking about. The consortium is open to partners, including national and local authorities, local and international institutions, private sector organizations that want to get more experience with these design and implementation phases, and academia. We're going to provide grant support through the generous contribution of Italy, and we're going to work with OECD on the policy side of things, and we are asking for 30% of co-finance, which is quite flexible, but we believe that if colleagues in the consortium do not have a skin in the game, then it's not serious enough, and it's difficult then to take it forward. So that's our belief. Next slide, please. I can go now into some examples of solutions. For instance, if we are looking into roads and railways, and I think the report is a much better place to look into this. And there might be structural damages because of heat, of floods, of dust storms, which happen in these regions that we're going to work with. And we believe that if we have vegetation that provides shade, that provides evapotranspiration, very difficult to say, and a grass grid system, all these issues could be minimized. And the idea of our innovation accelerator project is that we're not going to only work with nature-based solutions. We want to bring nature-based solutions to existing or new infrastructure because they have to work hand in hand. And that, I think, it's the beauty of the project. Next slide, please. We're going to focus on infrastructure protection, on slopes in terms of landslides, that we have vegetation where the roots can actually keep the slopes a little bit stronger. So if there is a flooding or a landslide, things that we know by heart, but at the end of the day, these are important issues and we need to plan and design and invest on that. We always talk about sponge cities, which means that we have to take the concrete out and bring back, vegetation into cities can absorb rain. And it's difficult because our cities are already very much designed with concrete, and these are all issues that we're going to look at. Next slide, please. The cities one I've already mentioned, so next one, please. The hydropower solutions, I was discussing with the colleague from Hungary and the colleague from Slovenia today, that the water cycles will change dramatically because of climate change. And even if hydropower is important, and my country, Brazil, I come from Brazil, we base our electricity on hydropower. With less water, we'll have less energy coming from renewables, but the existing hydropower, the quality and the quantity of water depends on the biodiversity and the vegetation and the water streams that are around these areas. So keeping that area safe and with good vegetation, good species, good biodiversity really has an influence on water quality and water quantity. And that's extremely important. Next one, please. These are about ports. And it's very important to protect ports, and there are new ways of doing that with nature. So, for instance, there is mangrove-based breakwaters, strategic reuse of dredge sediments to avoid sea level rise a little bit before actually the coast area, and dune parks and green buffers. And these avoid loss of ecosystems and livelihoods. And this is very important for port areas. And this is something the project is going to focus on, especially in Africa. Next slide, please. So I'm finishing now because I'm told it's 1 minute. I could speak a little bit more about that because it's a subject that is close to my heart. But this is just the timeline, and we're very proud actually to cooperate on these, and we believe the nature-based solutions is a very under-financed area, and I think these grant resources that will possibly bring more leverage of investments is a very good use of resources, and thank you very much, and we look forward to cooperate with all of you, and if you have any ideas that you'd like to share with me and Alessandra, we'll be very happy to hear that, and we're going to base our studies and our call for proposals on the reports that we also have seen that UNECE has prepared. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ruth. And indeed, it's a challenging matter, but we are extremely happy that we are approaching a new angle for sustainable infrastructure, and we are pioneering this new approach through nature-based solutions. So Italy is proud to have started this discussion, not only on the practical side, but also on the policy level. And we already carried out a field mission to Uzbekistan, where we concretely tried to put in place some synergies, as those are reflected in the report that we're presenting today, because we were in touch with the Green Climate Fund, with Asian Development Bank and other IFIs to see how we can couple our grants with some activities that they are planning to implement to maximize the output, because the key message is always to try not to duplicate, but rather to synergize, to join forces for better results. Before closing, I think that there was an intervention from Switzerland. Thank you. The floor is yours, but 1 minute, otherwise we will be chased out. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Italy, for this great initiative, for this side event, for the hospitality, and for all this presentation. It's a great job, and I think because we are in this positive mood, it could be also a very interesting theme for our next environment for Europe. It's something positive. It's really finding good solution and for this crisis. So I mean, it could be a very, very good idea also for our next meeting. Thank you so much.
for your intervention. And indeed, yes, we will try together with UNEP and the OECD to be present in all major events, starting from the new regional forum on climate change that will take place in Astana next year. I see someone wanting to intervene, but I can't see who you are. So please introduce yourself.
The One Goal Initiative for Governance, Alev Mine. I wanted to propose maybe also an avenue of study or research. There was one event in the H building some time ago where two firefighting specialists were presenting, and they said that, you know, the greening of cities pose a fire risk, fire hazard, whereby if the weather is hot and also dry, this also dries out the vegetation, whereby when there's fire, it can really propagate really badly. So maybe some research how to prevent that. Thank you.
To address your question, specifically, one nature-based solution that can be applied to infrastructure is choosing the right vegetation to protect grids. So rather than vegetation that is prone to fire, choosing the right vegetation that prevents the fire from spreading, but also provides a certain buffer that lowers the temperature around critical infrastructure is something that is fully eligible under our project. And of course, as also Ruth mentioned, no one size fits for all. So every project that we will admit for grant will have to demonstrate to have a solid background and to demonstrate that it's specifically tailored to the geographical context where it is being implemented. Unfortunately, I have to close this meeting for the sake of time, because in 2 minutes the chair of the Committee on Environmental Policy will require her seat and we will have to leave. So I leave the floor for a final word of conclusion from Marco Kainer, Director of the Environment Division. And thank you so much for your presence here in Geneva and online. Thank you.
Alessandra, and thanks for to all the speakers for their insightful contributions, and to all the participants for your engagement. I think today's discussion highlighted the critical role of nature-based solutions in building sustainable and resilient infrastructure. And we also learned from how ECE, EPRs, and the new report provide practical guidance to turn these ideas into action. With this, I would like to invite you to explore further the report in detail and consider how its insights can be applied in your work. And our continued collaboration will be, of course, essential to scale up the NBS in the ECE region, and maybe it will become a theme of the next EFE Ministerial Conference. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.